And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to our second broadcast of the day. Welcome back to the 2023 GSL Season 3 Codes Round of 16 Group C. I'm of course your Sly VIP, and with me I'm joined by the lovely people in the chat. And this is an event that happened a couple of days ago. Or last week. Last week, actually. We have been casting a couple of the groups of GSL. We have been casting a couple of them, not all of them. We haven't had the time to, and I had to make a tough decision here because I wanted to cast some more GSL, but the reality is that starting this week, we are going to be very busy. We have ESL Masters Winter. ESL Masters Winter is starting at the end of the week. It's starting on Thursday, and it's going to take up a lot of our time for the next month. Just because it's going to be Thursday, I think it's Thursday to Monday, every single week for a month full of StarCraft. And it does mean that we have that much less time to actually have replay casts like this and cover events that have gone by. We do our best to try to catch up with stuff like this, whether it's GSL or like the Craft Cup. I have replays of that, and if there's any other major event, we try to cover them as well. Yeah, because of the ESL Masters Winter, we actually will have to pick and choose wisely kind of what we want to cover and what we don't, and we don't have time for everything. So for those wondering, usually we do cast Tuesdays and Thursdays. That's like when we can cover like replays of events going by. And yeah, Thursday is going to be gone. It's going to be gone, spam. It's going to be on. So yeah, we probably won't be able to cover all of GSL. I didn't plan to cover everything anyway, at least the group stage. So today is going to be our last GSL cast for a while, at least, maybe for another month or so, before we try to catch back up on everything that we've been missing. And we're going to be going over Group C. So it was 2 weeks ago, I think. 2 weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. We did cover Group A, which was Scarlet, Maru, Solar, and Creator, and we had a great time. It was an amazing day of StarCraft. Actually, it was everything we ever wanted out of that. And today we have a Group C instead. Oh, this is hold on. This score is not correct. This is actually the score of Clem versus MaxPax. Fun fact: we were casting Clem versus. I guess spoilers for ESL Masters Asia, or sorry, ESL Cup Americas. Sorry, we were casting Clem versus MaxPax, and that was a best of 5. This is not a best of 5. This is a best of 3. We're gonna have to refresh. Hold on. There we go. Beautiful. Best of 3 between a couple of other players. As we switch our scenes over and we can have a look at the group itself, we have match 1, match 2, and of course winners match, losers match, and decider match as well. We have 4 players coming into this group: Dark, DRG, Bjorn, and Estrella. For those that are curious, this series was played out, or this group was played out last week on, I think, Tuesday. I think exactly a week ago, actually. So you may have already watched it. If you have, I do ask you to refrain from throwing down spoilers in the chat. Spoilers will be timed out or banned, depending on how egregious you are about it and how malicious you are with it. But yeah, it is a replay cast from last week. If you happen to miss it, then you can be here to experience it for the first time alongside us. I've been intentionally avoiding the GSL streams, the GSL casts, just so I don't spoil myself and I can just go in blind and all that stuff. But I'm probably going to be tuning into like the semis and the finals. I think, again, we only plan on covering the group stage here on the CranKy Ducklings. You know, Tasteless and States, they can cover or hold on to the finals and semis on their own. It's all good. So yeah, this is going to be our day of StarCraft. Basically 5 matches, 5 best of 3s. That's the other thing that's brutal about the GSL format, is that they are best of 3s, not best of 5s. On top of that, they do have plenty of time to prepare. They have a couple of weeks actually to prepare for their own groups and their own matches, and it's going to be easier for some, harder for others. I do love to see Estrella though here. Estrella, of course, is living in Korea. He's living in Korea alongside Scarlet and alongside a couple of other foreigners in the team house, or I say team in the foreigner house, I guess. I know Zane was staying with them for a while. I'm aware that Future was staying with them for a while as well. I know Future, he's back in the States. I'm not too sure if Zane is back in the States. I'd have to inquire about that as to the state of all the other foreigners there. But yeah, it's been really cool to see Estrella return to Korea. He's been training, he's been practicing, he is looking good, he's looking in form. If you want to tune into more of Estrella, this weekend, ESL Masters Americas or ESL Masters, the regionals are starting this weekend, and You know, players like Scarlet, players like Estrella, Future, as well as I mentioned before, they're looking to compete, they're looking to go far in those events, and I'm really excited to see a key number of players actually that I have my eyes on. You know, I think Future is a big one for me. Like, I want to see how far Future goes. Obviously, my kids, you know, Dolan, Eric, mijitos, my boys, and many others. So we'll get into that. We'll get into that, you know, in Thursday, Friday, once we get around to the regionals themselves. Exciting times are ahead of us. Exciting times, they're now actually. They're now with our first matchup with this ZvZ as we begin with Dark versus DRG. Let's go. Spoiler alert, Light does not wear pants. Ah, it holds me back from casting. Ay. Shaking my head. We are going to be getting into this, and here we go. Spawning in the top left hand corner of Oceanborn, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the red Zerg representing himself. It is DRG. Oh my, going for a 15 hatch. And spawning in the bottom right, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Zerg player representing CranKy Gaming. It is Dark. Oh my, let us go. Okay, so this is already interesting. This is already going to be an interesting one. So we're going to be getting into a 15-15. This should be another cancel for a 15 spawning pool timing. So from DRG, this is basically a gasless opener. So, well, maybe I shouldn't say gasless. This is a 2-base Roach opener here. His gas is going to be heavily delayed. Because of delaying gases, he's actually going to have more mineral income, or ideally, right? Because he's going to be hyper-fixated on just mining out these drones. He's going to have queens to defend early on. He's going to be skipping his lings. So larva-wise, he should be more efficient when it comes to just making nothing but drones at this point, and drones, well, additional drones are going to be on the way, and his gases are going to be delayed. Because gases are delayed, ling speed is delayed, banelings are delayed. So because of that, it's usually not worth it. It's not worth making ling speed, it's not worth making banelings. So this is why this typically leads into 2-base play, into 2-base Roach. Now we have to keep an eye on DRG, because Dark, he's going to scout this, he's going to recognize that 2-base Roach is upon him, and he himself should be skipping out on some upgrades. We'll see if that comes to pass, but usually at this level of play, if Dark confirms that you are skipping certain upgrades, then he will have to skip them as well to be able to meet you in Roach versus Roach, and that can sometimes catch you off guard. So if Dark recognizes what's happening, he's most likely going to be skipping Ling Speed and skipping a Baneling Nest as well, and if DRG suddenly starts Ling Speed, then he can Link Flood and he can kill Dark. And that's happened before. that has happened many a time. So there is a bit of a back and forth. Scouting is paramount. Scouting is very important. Also, when DRG does open up 2-base, he could even go something like 2-base Muta. I don't think 2-base Muta is amazing on Oceanborn, just because of the rush distance by ground, and it's a risk. It's a very big risk to take, and I don't think that's going to be the way to go, but we'll see. We'll see what kind of direction DRG takes us in if he does just go 2-base Roach and commits to it. Meanwhile, Dark is going to be taking his 3rd base. Dark should recognize that a 3rd is not being taken by DRG. Again, because he's going to be staying on 2 bases. DRG has not made a single ling. He's only defending with pure queen. 2 queens, now a 3rd and 4th queen behind this. We see Dark attempt to scout. He's going to be zoned away, but not seeing a 3rd base is enough of a tell to recognize what is going on. And there it is. We do have a lair immediately in production here for Dark. He is not canceling Ling's speed, by the way, but we're getting straight into a lair, taking additional gases, and we should be throwing down a Roach Warren momentarily. We'll keep an eye on Dark and what he gets up to. For now, DRG is just droning. He is getting Ling speed. That is important to point out. That does tell us that DRG wants to be a little bit more aggressive than normal. He could go for +1 carapace, and I believe he's amassing Lings for a Ling Flood. Now, the reason why DRG would do something like this, even though I said before that usually you would skip Ling Speed, is to catch your opponent off guard. Is because Dark, the last thing he's really expecting is a Ling Flood. That's why he doesn't have a Baneling Nest, because you shouldn't need a Baneling Nest because your opponent is going 2-base Roach. So DRG, he's just banking up Lings, and he's going for a massive all-in, a massive flood across the map, hoping to catch Dark off guard. Looking at the upgrades here, Dark thankfully did get his own link speed. He didn't completely skip it. He did invest into it, so he's gonna have something, but oh, he's rushing into 2-base Spire. Mutas, he's hoping that this is Roach play. Dark may just die. Dark may just be dead here. Here we go. The Lings are flooding across the map. We have no Roach Warren to defend. We have no Bailey Nest to defend. We're rushing into Spire, into Mutas. This third base will die. We'll see if DRG can break into the natural as well. As the Lings do get across the map, yeah, they're just focusing down that wall. DRG, he realizes how much danger his opponent's in. The wall is going to get busted. But alas, DRG doesn't quite go for it. He's going to be content here with this third base instead. So this is going to be 300 minerals down the drain. Likewise, though, DRG, he doesn't know what's going on. He should notice the lack of Roach Warren. That is a big tell. No Roach Warren, no Bailey Nest. It should be Mutas. Or like Hydrogen or something. One or the other. Meanwhile, this Central Evo Chamber is going to be shut down, is going to be cancelled just in time. We're trying to work our way through this Queen as well. We do have our own lair on the horizon. More Lings are flooding across the map. DRG hunting down Overlords, but now the Mutas are on the way. Has Dark held? Has he survived long enough to actually allow these Mutas to win him the game? It's going to be really close here as we throw down another Evo Chamber. Oh no! The Evo Chamber does not get thrown down in time. The Lings, they flood on in. The Spire has now been scouted. He's now fully aware of what's going on, and everything here at the natural base is going to go down. The Queens, the Lings, the drones. And now we can go into the main as well. And sure, the Mutas will eventually kill all these all these Lings. That will happen. But so many drones are going to go down before that does occur. 5 workers. Dark doing a great job at drone drilling here. Oh my god. Somehow saving most of his workers, saving 31 drones. Very impressive from Dark. Meanwhile, back at home, DRG, he's ahead in workers, he's ahead in bases, he's ahead in tech. He doesn't have a Spire. That's the one downside. DRG is now throwing down his own. Bold move, by the way, to go for a Spire and not to go for a Hydrogen. But the Spire is on the way. How many Queens do we have? 3, 4. 4 Queens. We have a couple of Transfuses. We have Spores on the way. As DRG goes for another Link counterattack, but the wall is solid. DRG does not get in. And what's interesting is that the Mutas, they don't commit. We're just focusing on killing Overlords. Dark, can he stabilize? Can he stabilize from here? Looking at the units tab, we have 10 Mutas from the side of Dark. We have +1 air attack on the way as well. +1 air attack is in production. Lings will be able to will be hunted down. One after another. Lings are going to be hunted down, but alas, behind this we have gases being taken. And DRG, if he wanted to, he can go into Corruptors from here. He should know that he is ahead in gas. He does have a gas lead compared to Dark. Here we go. Mutas are pushing out. And we're going into Mutas. Oh, he's crazy. Oh my god. A very bold move. He's working on +1 air carapace, flyer carapace even. Yeah, I'm not too sure how I feel about this. Playing versus Muta or Muta v Muta when you're behind a Mutas is a very difficult thing to do. But he does have the gas advantage here, so he may think that he can get away with it. +1 melees in production. Looking at the units tab, DRG, he is catching up. He is catching up with Mutas, but Dark has additional Mutas available as well. He's taking his gases. Again, he realizes what is important right now, what matters. And the other big reason why I'm not really loving that we're also going into Mutas is because this gives Dark a fighting chance. Dark, he's going to be ahead in upgrades. He's going to be ahead in upgrades, and as long as Dark squeezes out Mutas and nothing but Mutas, he should be okay. Now this +1 melee that's in production is going to be an interesting one for DRG. It means that Dark is most likely, again, going to be investing in Mutas. If DRG sneaks out a couple of Lings here and there, then he could actually pull off some run-bys and actually wreak some havoc. Meanwhile, Dark is ahead in Mutas. Oh god, he is ahead in Mutas right now, and this is not the moment to fight. DRG must be very wary here. Again, if he commits to a fight, like, there's no turning back from it. That's the difficult thing of Muta v Muta. Overlord goes down. DRG, a delicate dance here from him. Because technically DRG is ahead in supply, is ahead in workers, but it's all about that gas income. And at the moment, the gas income is even. It is even. Muta count is actually even as well. +1 carapace is more effective than +1 flyer attack. So DRG is going to be taking that much less damage. +2 is on the way. +1 here from DRG. And this is on a nice edge. Whoever attacks first, and here we go, we're diving in. And I believe Dark has more mutas here. He's gonna pull back though. It does pull back to the safety of those queens. DRG gaining ground. He does take a muta lead. And Dark losing confidence there, and I don't think he needed to. But the mutas are coming in clutch. We get some transfuses. And it looks like DRG is winning out in the muta battle, just barely. The queens do help push this back. Oof. Yeah, as again, Dark turning back around, he gave a bunch of free shots to DRG, and GG gets called. Dong Regu will take game number 1. GG. GG, well played. If Dark had initially fought with his queens to support from the beginning, then that would have been a different story. But the fight just happened out of nowhere. I do think that if Dark didn't turn around, I think he may have won that fight. But because he turned around, he took like 2 or 3 extra glaive volleys to the face. And then turning around, like that's just it, Papi. That's you can't turn your back to mutas in a fight like that. He lost too much in the retreat, and GG. GG, well played. DRG will take the first game in this best of 3. And that is not the first time where DRG has gone 2-base Roach and just link flooded and just caught Dark off guard like that. It happens very often. Again, just because in that situation you're skipping your Bailey nest, like you're cutting corners yourself, and Dark was caught with his pants down. And now we're making our way into game 2. As we do, a massive shout out to Mega Whack in the chat. That's a big whack. That's thank you so much for subscribing with Twitch Prime. Do appreciate it. Thank you, Papi. Thank you. Hope you enjoy your emotes. Hope you enjoy your replay packs. We do give replay packs to our subscribers. And yeah, thank you so much. All the money that we make here on our channel goes towards our tournaments, goes towards the events that we host on a bi-weekly basis. So we appreciate it. As we're getting ready for game number 2. Game número 2. Game 2 is going to be on site Delta. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean... Oh, sorry. Switching my scenes over. We have the South Korean Zerg player representing site Delta down in the series, but not out. It is Dark. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Zerg player once again going for a 15-15. We have the red Zerg. It is DRG. I've been enjoying your cast on YouTube for months now. Least I could do. Usually not awake. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I know. Oh my god. It is going to be 15-15 opener here from DRG. Dark going for a hatch gas pool. But I do appreciate it. We've been doing our best on YouTube. I know our YouTube uploads are a little bit behind, but we do upload, or we try to upload on a daily basis. And thank you. I know that our casting hours aren't at the best time for North America. I know that we usually start casting when in North America we're going to bed, or when we're waking up as well. So not the best hours depending on your sleep schedule, but do appreciate it. As DRG is going for the same opener, and again, what I mentioned before is applicable for a second time. With a 15-15 opener, DRG, he's not going to be making lings early on. He's going to be rushing into just pure droning and defending with queens. And once again, this should lead into 2-base Roach. Now, because in game 1, DRG link flooded, or he had hidden his link flood with this opener, I don't imagine he's going to do that again. So I wonder how Dark will react, right? It's like, is he going to try and rush into mutas 2 games in a row if he sees the same opener? He may think that this time he can get away with it. Or maybe we end up in Roach versus Roach, which would make more sense if both players just decide to wall off and go into Roach production. For now, Dark hasn't quite pieced this together yet. He moves in, he will see the hatchery timing of DRG, which isn't enough of a tell. In a couple of seconds, Dark is going to be heading over to expand and take a 3rd base, and likewise, DRG should not be taking a 3rd. Dark is getting link speed, as he should. Lings are moving out for a scout. And DRG should be bringing his queens forward here to deny the scout. Second queen is coming down from the main. And oh my god, Dark, he's doubling down. This is, what, a 2-minute 35 lair timing? A very early lair here from Dark. He's had enough. He does not want to be the punchy bag. Not anymore. Dark wants to be in the driver's seat. He himself chooses not to take a 3rd base. Dark is playing 2-base Roach. I say 2-base Roach. This could be 2-base, a couple of different things. This could be into a Nidus Worm. This could be mutas again. If we take additional gases, there's that Roach Warren on the way. Likewise, DRG should also be throwing down a Roach Warren soon as well. There we go. He's working on his wall. So, a couple of things. Once again, DRG is getting link speed. So it looks like he's going to link flood. The downside here is that Dark doesn't have a 3rd, and Dark skipped link speed to get into this lair. That's why this lair is so fast, because he just skipped it entirely. We don't care about link speed. Know where we're going, because we're just making Roaches. We're going Roach v Roach. But DRG, he's doing the same thing 2 games in a row. Link speed is on the way, which means he's link flooding, and there we go. We have a mass amount of links on the way for DRG, but there's nothing to kill. This time, there's no 3rd base that he can kill for free. This time, we have a full wall off here at the natural. We should be getting a full wall off. So this is really risky. Very risky here from DRG. If I was in Dark's shoes, I would be dead, because if you remember, I was like, yo, maybe we could just go 2-base muta again and we'll get away with it, because there's no way he link floods 2 games in a row. Nah, but it's happening. 2 games in a row. it is happening. So DRG is flooding across the map. Back at home, full wall off. No 3rd base. Very limited damage is being done here. We're going to try and focus down the Evo chamber. We get 1 drone. But you can see here that this investment into Lings, the gas spent on Ling speed, has not been worth it. As a result, DRG's behind. He's behind tech-wise. He's working on +1 carapace, but +1 carapace is delayed compared to +1 range of Dark. The lair is delayed, Roach speed is delayed, everything is delayed because DRG made all those. Even his droning, even his drones, even though at the moment DRG, he's ahead in workers, he was behind for a long time because he had made so many Lings. And these Lings just have not been worth it. And DRG, he's fully saturated on 2 bases. He's now taking a 3rd. I was going to say that I think this 3rd is just for show, like just for larva, but we're getting 1-1. So I think Dark is just going to take a defensive role. I think he's just going to chill defensively, and he's going to wait for DRG to come to him. Wait for DRG to come. Oh, God! So we do force a cancel on the 3rd base. Good moment here for Dongregu. Behind this, we have Carapace on the way. So because of Carapace, we should be cutting workers soon. I imagine DRG is going to be pushing out with Roaches and Lings. This is a setup for an all-in, but Roach speed is still a ways away. So we're not going to hit a timing here. Yeah, DRG instead he's going to drone, he's taking more gases, and we are now entering the mid-game. Both players are going to be getting their 3rd bases saturated. Both players will be building up their Roach armies. Now the question becomes, as DRG is heavily supply blocked. 8 Overlords on the way. Ay. But the question becomes, Dark, is he going to saturate this 3rd? He has droned a little bit. He's working on +2 range. This is going to be a very strong timing. Dark, he should be aware that he is ahead in upgrades. And by the time he hits with +2 and +1, I believe DRG will only have 1-1 of his own. So again, a very powerful upgrade timing on the horizon here for Dark. DRG is on a timer, and I think he knows that because he has cut workers. he is not saturating this third base. He has droned a little bit, don't get me wrong, but I think we're cutting here. We're stopping at 56, and we're making nothing but roaches. Here we go. Roach speed is about to kick in. +1 range, only halfway done. But DRG, he's just amassing nothing but roaches, looking to move out. He's ahead in army supply. If the game goes on any longer, then Dark will take a lead, as Dark is soon to be exceeding his opponent in the economy and the upgrades, of course. We're doubling down, tunneling claws, burrow on the way. These upgrades aren't going to help Dark in the defense, so I do worry for him. And Dark is the player that's going to be pushing out. He's pushing out across the map onto creep as well. And DRG in position. He's looking to just chase this down. Not a good fight for Dark. Not a good start for him. He's going to be losing his Ravagers. Yeah, first Ravager goes down. Is going to be able to connect with some Biles, actually. So fighting back here at the center of the map. But he's bleeding out a little bit too much. We have 13 more roaches on the way. Dark, can he defend? He's being forced all the way back to his third base. He's got a decent concave. He has queens. Biles will not be connecting. Not on Dark. They do connect on DRG. And with the defender's advantage, it looks like DRG has overextended. DRG, he had a good fight in the center of the map. That was a very good fight for the Red Zerg. But he bleeds out too much here across the map. And Dark holds. Dark holds, he cleans up all the Ravagers, and now DRG is falling behind. Again, he's behind in upgrades. He's now working on +2, but +2 kicked in the middle of that fight for Dark. He's even healing up his roaches with that burrow. Now we do see DRG droning. Droning is a little bit late. And the ball is suddenly in Dark's court. Ooh, Spire on the way. A bit of a Hail Mary play out of DRG. He's taking a big risk here, but the roaches are waddling on in. We have roaches at the third base, roaches in the main, and roaches at the natural. The tunneling claw roaches of Dark getting a lot of damage here in the counterattack, and a lot of drones are falling. And there's limited detection. There's no Overlord speed. The Overseer can barely keep up with anything. And as all this is happening, the Spire has been spotted. The roaches, they did see the Spires that were coming into the main. Hydrogen is on the way for Dark. Yeah, actually looking for those roaches. He finds them. Does find the roaches in the main. But honestly, I feel like Dark should be able to hit before the Spire really impacts this game here. Like Dark, he's up in workers, he's up in supply. I do think he can hit with his Roach army before the mutas are too impactful, but we'll see. He also saw the Roach Horn researching, so he's just throwing down Spine Coolers. Fun fact, DRG does have tunneling claws. DRG does not have burrow. I saw a bit of an oversight from DRG. Actually can't make use of his upgrade. Yo, a contamination on +2. Massive contamination from Dark. He confirms that the Spire wasn't cancelled. So now we have mutas on the way. Sorry, Hydras on the way to meet up with the mutas. We have 8 mutas in total. That is enough for map control. That is enough to push out. Both armies are maxed. So again, DRG, he isn't going mass muta. He's transitioning. Hydrogen, Infestation Pit. Looks like DRG does want to go into... eventually go into Hydra Lurker Viper. Both players, they're headed towards the late game of ZvZ, which is Lurkers versus Lurkers, or Vipers versus Vipers. Speaking of, there it is, Lurker down on the way for Dark. Dark does have an abundance of roaches, and he does have to get rid of them. He has a little bit too much. Likewise, so does DRG. So, looks like DRG is going to be hitting first. He's going to be rotating around with this massive Roach army. So looking for a way to get rid of them, looking for a way to trade. There it is, Lurker Den on the way for DRG. Hive as well. Again, for those wondering what late game, we don't often get late game ZvZ. Like usually the game ends in like the Ling Bane or the mid game, which is like Roach versus Roach. But Lurker versus Lurker is, it's something. We're not there yet, but we're getting there. They want to get there. Here we go. Dark pushing on forward. Doesn't quite find a way in. Doesn't have any Ravagers of his own. Does go down. DRG rotating towards the center. You can see as Dark is losing Roaches, he's replacing them with Hydras. He is trying to get into more Hydra production. Dark coming in from behind. Going to be collapsing on this army, and DRG should lose everything here. To be fair, he knew that he was going to lose this army. He's just trading, but this is an expensive loss with all these Ravagers. Ay, ay, ay. And now that now that both players have successfully cleaned up supply, Lurkers are on the way. DRG, does he have any Hydras? He doesn't. He does have the Lurker upgrade on the way, but he hasn't made a single Hydra, so this is a really risky move. DRG, basically, he wants to remax very quickly with Roach Ravager and push again, and kill Dark while he's making Lurkers. Problem is, the Lurkers are already out, and I don't think DRG can break him anymore. He was on a timer. 6 Lurkers have arrived. They're not in position, to be fair. Lurkers are towards the north instead. Yeah, but the Lurker is repositioning, moving towards this fight. Yeah, and even with one Lurker here, DRG just cannot push in. Has no detection. He's going to try and force his way into the natural, though. But a second Lurker arrives. Avoids the Biles. Not forever. One Lurker goes down, but you can see how efficient Dark's army is with that anchor point, with that siege unit. DRG has to back off. He bleeds out far too many Roaches. We have a token Swarm Host on the way. Let's go. Token Swarm Host in production. And yeah, Dark, he's just refining his army, making more Lurkers. DRG, he's making his first wave of Lurkers now, but he is behind. Something to take note of, no one has made Vipers yet. No Vipers yet. They're going to be crucial when it comes to Lurker v Lurker. Like Abductions and Blinding Clouds, that's how you deal with Lurkers of your opponent. But no Vipers yet. We're just kind of brute forcing it. As DRG moves out, Dark moves in. I'm loving the defensive Burrow here. Let's go. Burrow was researched from DRG. Saves his workers. It's okay, Dark, as he bleeds out some Roaches, he's replacing them with more Hydras, more Lurkers. That's the goal here. +3 on the way. There it is, the first Vipers being produced from the side of Dark, not from the side of DRG. I would have liked to have seen some faster some faster Vipers here from our Red Zerg instead, because he knew that he was behind. Oof. We can see Lurker range coming into play, and DRG has to respect it. There it is, Vipers now in production for DRG as well, but he is one step behind. Oh god. Speaking of being one step behind. And Dark is already in position. He's just fortifying himself on these 4 bases. DRG does have a 5th on the way. He is prioritizing gas mining here instead. And the 5th base doesn't matter too much here. It's not like they have an abundance of workers. In ZvZ, even as we get into the late game, Storm Host goes down. But even as we get into the late game, we don't want more than 66 drones. We don't want too many workers, because the more workers we have, the less of an army we have. Speaking of army, Dark coming in for a Roach counterattack. The Tunneling Claw Roaches, they have spotted this base. They've arrived, and they should get a couple of drone kills, not too many, as there isn't too much to kill. But he is distracting DRG. While this distraction is going on, back at home, more Vipers. We're up to 4 Vipers at this point. G trying to go for his own push. Looking at the user tab, we have 13 lurkers against the 9 of DRG. DRG has 5 Vipers, to be fair. Does have the Viper lead. He can attempt to outposition Dark and take advantage of him. Oh, speaking of, lurkers do have to be careful. As DRG is still dealing with all these run-bys, dealing with all these roaches. Okay, now he can finally focus on his push. And a lot of this will come down to the spellcasters. Whether we can Blinding Cloud or Abduct. Here we go! Do throw down a couple of Blinding Clouds from both players. The Abductors are coming in. The Vipers of Dark, they do get pulled in, but they will not go down. Not enough anti-air, not enough Hydras. Instead, Dark powerbombs the Vipers of DRG. He tries to get a couple of lurkers, but the transfuse keeps them alive. Dark preserving his lurkers, preserving his Vipers as well. Oh, and he is picking this army apart. Again, DRG, he invested a lot there to abduct the Vipers of his opponent, of Dark, but he had no anti-air. He didn't have enough Hydras. He didn't kill any of them. I think he killed one. He killed one in that fight. The others, they just flew away, floated back home. And if we don't transfuse these Vipers, 1 or 2 more parasitic bombs will kill them. The Queens are coming together. There it is. We do transfuse said Vipers as well. We're going to be getting ready for round 2. Now, DRG, he has a lot of gas. He's got 2k gas in the bank. Jesus. Again, DRG, he has been mining from these additional bases. Does have the slightly better economy. These roach run-bys, they don't stop. Not the most efficient trades here from Dark. He's bleeding out roaches, but again, he's replacing them with more lurkers. I'm afraid to look. Unistab. 20, oh my god, 22, almost double the lurker count of DRG. That's crazy. He's got 9 Vipers as well. So usually when we're up to 9 Vipers, Dark, he's gonna want 2 groups of Vipers. Here we go. DRG pushing through in towards the 3rd base. At the same time, the Hydras are going down. DRG bleeding out a lot of his army. He sends his Hydras into lurkers. Most of them go down. Good abductions here on these overseers. Getting rid of the detection. DRG has to replace all that he lost. How many Vipers do we have? Okay, we still have 9. DRG is down to 2 Vipers. The reality is that this does come down to... Okay, he just made 7. 7 Vipers just popped out for DRG. We're 9v9. Viper v Viper. Oh, but they're still gathering energy. They're not ready. They are not ready for this fight. And Dark just pulling everything together. We get a couple of reductions. Dark bleeding out 1 Viper. A good start here for DRG. He is still behind in the overall lurker count. Dark gonna rotate around. He's looking for a better angle of attack, and he's getting on top of the high ground. DRG getting out positioned. Okay, he does have a lurker, thankfully, at his 3rd base. His linear 3rd. The abductions. Oh, and almost every single Viper goes down. We do land 1 power bomb. But in one fell swoop, DRG gets knocked down to 3 Vipers against the 4 of his opponent. They did trade. Viper for Viper. Again, more so than lurkers, this is about the Vipers. About both. It is about both. You can see they're both replacing their Vipers. 4 more, 5 more on the way. DRG prone to getting surrounded. Does have to be careful. Massive spine shot's going to be going off. At the same time, Dark leading out some of his reinforcing Hydras. Roach counterattack will be dealt with eventually. Looks like DRG just wants a moment to breathe. It's going to back up, consolidate his army, morph in more lurkers, gather more energy. 6 Vipers. Dark, meanwhile, has been taking all of these bases all across the map. And once again, Dark does outposition his opponent. He's wedging himself in between the bases. Decent blinding clouds. Likewise, they're throwing down on DRG as well. DRG, he did borrow his Hydras by accident. Oh my god, it's a Meek Rider. DRG, he cannot push in. The Vipers, we needed them. They weren't a part of the fight. They were not here, and GG gets called. Dark will take game number 2, tying up the series 1-1. GG. In one fell swoop, he just wedged himself in between the bases, forced the fight. We again were lacking some Vipers there. It looked like a bit of miscontrol out of DRG. He did end up borrowing all of his Hydras as well as his Lurkers, so everything was borrowed and a lot less DPS as a result. And Dark does fight back, and again, Dark, I feel like he has some of the best late game ZvZ Lurker Viper control. We've seen it many times take down some top tier Zerg players. And we have an ace match. We're going all the way to game number 3. Here we go. And this morning, in the top right hand corner of Alkioni, we have the South Korean Zerg player representing Dragon Kaiser Gaming, fighting back hard in that last game, in the late game of ZvZ, which is something we don't often get. It is Dark. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the red Zerg player. The red Zerg player being forced into the ace match. It is DRG. Go. As we get into this, a big shout out to White Ice in the chat. Thank you for the raid. Thank you. Hope you had a great time. Hope you had a great stream. Hope you had a great ladder session as well. It's been a while. It's been a while, Poppy. It's been a while. Hope you enjoyed yourself. I haven't had the luxury of laddering recently. I hope you didn't smudge too much. Oh my god, let's go! As DRG, he's going straight for the gold. For the first time this series, not a 15-15 opener. He's going for a hatch first at the gold base instead. Here we go. We do have the hatch first here at the goal base. We're going to be made-outing over. Looking at the vision here from Dark, I believe he is not fully aware of what's happening yet. So, fun fact, when it comes to ZvZ on this map, on Alkioni, we have seen Zerg players actually send their first Overlord to the gold, then towards the natural, but we can see that Dark is sending his second Overlord in this direction instead. So he's going to have a later scout of what is going on. But he should come across this. Like, this Overlord should get eyes on this hatchery, on this base location. Back at home, hatch gas full, standard opener here out of Dark. And the pressure is going to be on Dark to try to punish this and to try to, in some way, stop mining here. And things can get really complicated. Again, a lot of Zerg players have been going for this opener on this map. A laser comes to mind. I think we've seen Scarlet do this as well. It is crazy. Now, this usually leads into an all-in. This usually, I think Dark has done this actually. Yeah, I think he's done this too. And Shin, aka Ragnarok. But there it is. Roach Warren is on the way. So Ragnarok, he should be going for a Roach Ling all-in. He should not be allowing Dark to get into a longer game. Dark throwing down a Baneling Nest, actually, very early on. Cancels his own third or doesn't commit to it. Again, Dark aware of what is going on. Now, I do appreciate this as well. This is something that Silky failed to do. We casted World Team League a couple of weeks ago. A Laser versus Silky. Same kind of scenario. And Silky didn't mine out these mineral patches. He actually tried to vie for control of this area instead. He tried to vie for control of the this area in between the natural and the gold base. And he failed to do so against a Laser. Mining through these patches I feel like is really crucial if we want to punish this gold. As Dark is now coming in from the right-hand side as well. Here we go. Dark, he's link flooding his cutting workers at 23. Banelings are on the way. Go here to crash into this gold base, but we have roaches to defend. Uh-oh. We do have roaches to defend. Now, they are being split up between these bases. That's the downside here. DRG, he's trying to figure out, does he want to defend his main base or defend the gold? Banelings, they don't commit yet. Dark, he does see the roaches. He knows where they are. He wants to drag them away. You can see here, he wants to drag their attention over towards the left-hand side. He's committing. At the same time, the Banelings waddle in. Up. 4 workers go down. And Dark, he busts into the main base. He gets on top of the Queen. The Banelings, they zone away the Lings. Up. They zone the Lings away, and he can focus on the drones instead. And the roaches, they cannot keep up. Having a hard time keeping up as they do shut down the Banelings in the end. 7 workers go down. DRG down to 16. But is it enough? Is it enough here as Dark? He's still making nothing but Lings. He's pulling back. He's trying to rally reinforcements to the gold base. But he doesn't get the Queen. Looking at the units tab, it feels like DRG should be able to counterattack. His Ling count is comparable to that of Dark's. Dark, he is banking, like, he needs these Baneling connections. He needs them. Without them, I think he can't hold on. DRG, though, biding his time. He's waiting for reinforcements. Likewise, DRG has to be very careful with how he engages. If he takes one Baneling to the face, if he loses these Lings too needlessly, then that could be it. Lings, they do rush on forward. The Banelings as well waddling on in. And we're just going to commit. We are just committing. The Banelings, they do make their way past the roaches. And DRG goes for a counterattack instead. The roaches, they barely break through, but they're also barely alive. And these Lings of DRG, they are going to be cleaned up. Oof. As they take the Banelings to the face. At the same time, the roaches, they're breaking in towards a third, but there are barely any roaches remaining. Dark is holding. Dark is holding. So he does pull back. I love the tenacity here of Dark, just constantly going for these Baneling waddle buys. I appreciate it so much. In the middle of all this chaos, Baneling waddle buy, it's coming. Likewise, DRG pushing through the center. DRG is going to be distracted for a moment. We still don't have any other tech here. I'm really surprised as 3 drones went down to the waddle buy. But I'm really surprised that Darky hasn't gone into roaches himself. He's still very committed to Ling Bane. We'll see if it's going to be enough. Spine Crawler's on the way. He's up in Lings. He's got 12 Banelings available. And Dark is being pulled apart. And third base is going to be forfeits. At the same time, another Ling counterattack does take out the gold. DRG is running out of resources. He's running out of money. Dark just setting up a surround. And Banelings aren't usually good against roaches, but they're going to do some damage nonetheless. And it looks like these Ling reinforcements, they are enough. They get us around. They clean up half of the roaches. Oof, oh my god. The Banelings go down. GG gets called. DRG runs out of steam. He gets knocked down to 11 workers and barely any roaches. And Dark will barely take the series. GG. Oh my god. GG, well played. Congratulations to Dark as he does take the series 2-1, advancing on into the winners match. But honestly, that really was on a knife's edge. If there's a world where if DRG he had lost less drones to those Baneling waddle buys, or if he had maybe been a little bit more attentive with his links and not been as a little bit careless against the Banelings of Dark, then maybe he could have snowballed out of control. Regardless, GG, well played, and Dark does make it through. Does make it through in the end. As we just set up the score, and that was merely our first best of 3. That was our first best of 3 of the day, and we have plenty more ahead of us as we have 2 other players in this group. It's not just Dark and DRG, there's also Bjorn and Estrella.